Stop scrolling, because today we're exposing what most coin hunters never notice. I've invited a special professional coin dealer to uncover the hidden details, secret value, and collector demand behind these coins. I'll hand the stage over to him right now. The coins are ready, the secrets are waiting. Let's reveal what you might be holding.
Thanks for having me. Let's uncover the secrets hiding in these coins. Coin 1. There's a dangerous mistake people make with old pennies. They see dirt, black rust-like discoloration, and an ordinary date, then toss the coin back into circulation. But what if that worn-looking wheat penny is exactly the kind of piece that makes a collector stop and look twice? Today, we're putting the spotlight on the 1940 wheat penny with no mint mark, and this one deserves your attention. The year 1940 sits at a tense moment in American history. Europe was already engulfed in World War II, while the United States was preparing for an uncertain future. America was moving through a major economic and industrial transition, and the US. Mint was producing enormous numbers of everyday coins for commerce. That history is part of what makes surviving pieces fascinating today. Your coin may have passed through decades of American hands before reaching you. Now turn the coin over in your mind and picture the design. On the obverse is Abraham Lincoln facing right, with liberty beside him and in God we trust above. The date 1940 sits below Lincoln. Look closely beneath the date. If there is no mint mark, that indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, two wheat ears frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum above. Those tiny letters and lines are where collectors begin their inspection. Here's where the physical test becomes important. A standard 1940 Lincoln wheat cent is approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter, weighs about 3.11 grams, and is roughly 1.5 millimeters thick. Its outer circumference, or girth, is about 59.8 millimeters. It was made from a bronze alloy of roughly 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Hold one next to a modern penny, and the difference in color and feel can immediately stand out. Most people never think twice about these measurements, but collectors do. And then there's the surface. A coin described as having a black, rusty, dirty appearance can look unattractive to an ordinary person, but that does not automatically mean it should be cleaned. Dark toning, accumulated dirt, scratches, corrosion, and environmental damage must be judged carefully. Never clean the coin. Original toning matters, and once that surface is destroyed, you cannot simply put it back. The first thing I would check is the date and mint mark area, then the lettering, wheat lines, Lincoln's hair, and the overall sharpness of the design. Look for unusual damage before assuming rarity. Remember, a 1940 Philadelphia cent is not automatically rare simply because it is old, and a dramatic-looking surface does not by itself make a coin valuable. Professional grading is critical when a coin appears exceptional. This detail changes everything. Condition, authenticity, preservation, and documented rarity can completely change collector interest. Now comes the part that gets collectors watching closely. For this video, the supplied market figure is $87,000, but that should not be treated as the normal value of an ordinary 1940 no-mint mark wheat penny. Real auction prices depend heavily on authentication, grade, preservation, provenance, and whether a genuine rare variety or error exists. If you believe your example is extraordinary, patience is far more valuable than rushing to sell it. Serious collectors can become competitive when a genuinely scarce coin appears, especially when attractive original surfaces and high-grade preservation come together. So if you find a 1940 wheat penny with no mint mark, don't automatically dismiss it because it looks old, dark, or dirty. Set it aside, protect it, and have it examined properly before making any decision. Do not spend this coin until you know exactly what you have. This may not be a fortune simply because of the date, but the right combination of condition, authenticity, and rarity can turn an ordinary-looking cent into something collectors desperately want. And the next coin is even more dangerous to overlook because its story takes us into another year where one tiny detail can change everything. Next up, coin number 2. Most people would never stop to inspect a quarter from 1950. That's exactly why this one can slip through unnoticed. Imagine finding a Washington quarter with an S mint mark, dark black spots, and an aged surface in a drawer, old collection, or even mixed change. It may look forgotten, but to the right collector, the tiny details can be far more interesting than the coin's appearance. The early 1950 ES were a fascinating period in the United States. America was moving through the post-war economy, while the Korean War was reshaping industry, government spending, and everyday life. Coins were still being produced for enormous amounts of daily commerce, and San Francisco was one of the US. Mint facilities striking Washington quarters. A 1950s quarter therefore carries a small piece of that post-war American story in your hand. Turn the coin over and start with the obverse. You'll see George Washington facing left, with liberty across the top, in God We Trust on either side of his portrait, and the date 1950 underneath. Just below the portrait area is the tiny S mint mark, identifying San Francisco production. That single letter is the detail I would check first. It can be incredibly easy to miss when the coin is dark, scratched, dirty, or heavily toned. Now flip it over. The reverse features a large eagle with outstretched wings, standing above a bundle of arrows with 2 olive branches beneath. Around the design are the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, while quarter dollar appears along the bottom. These details were designed to make the denomination unmistakable, but decades of circulation can soften the smallest lines. Look especially around the eagle lettering and rim for signs of wear or damage. And here's something people often overlook. This quarter is not the same composition as modern US. Quarters. A standard 1950 Washington quarter is made from a 90% silver and 10% copper alloy. It weighs approximately 6.25 grams, measures about 24.3 millimeters across, and is roughly 1.75 millimeters thick. Its outer circumference, or girth, works out to about 76.3 millimeters. That silver composition gives an authentic example, a completely different character from the copper-nickel quarters you normally carry today. But now look at the surface you described, black spots with a fine condition appearance. This is where you need to slow down. Dark toning can develop naturally over decades, while black spots may also indicate environmental damage, corrosion, or other problems. Never assume that dark color means rarity. Collectors want to know why the surface looks that way. Is it original toning? Is there damage? Has someone applied a chemical? Has the coin been cleaned? The answer can make a major difference. So please remember this. Never clean the coin. No polishing cloth. No toothpaste. No vinegar. No abrasive rubbing. You might think you're making an old quarter look better, but you could actually destroy the original surface that collectors want to examine. Original toning matters, especially when a coin has survived for more than 7 decades. If the piece looks promising, protect it in a proper holder and let a professional examine it. The real obsession begins with the tiny details. Check the S mint mark, the date, the rim, Washington's hair, the lettering, and the eagle's feathers. Look for unusual doubling, die characteristics, missing details, or evidence that the coin has been altered. Don't scrape the surface trying to reveal something. Use good lighting and magnification instead. Most people miss this because they're looking at the whole quarter instead of the microscopic clues that collectors actually care about. And remember, a 1950 AS Washington quarter is not automatically worth thousands of dollars simply because it is old or made from silver. The supplied figure for this video is $17,000, but that should not be presented as the normal value of an ordinary example. Real-world value depends on authenticity, grade, preservation, varieties, errors, provenance, and actual auction demand. A professional grading service can be critical if you believe you found an exceptional specimen. Still, imagine the possibility. A quarter that somebody might casually drop into a vending machine could instead become a serious collector piece. That's the hidden treasure feeling behind coins like this. Collectors don't just chase age, they chase scarcity, originality, eye appeal, and the story attached to the metal. When a genuinely desirable example appears, bidding can become aggressive because collectors know another opportunity may not appear quickly. Supply is the other side of the equation. Millions of old coins have disappeared through damage, melting, cleaning, loss, or simple destruction. The better preserved survivors become harder to find. That is why patience matters. If you discover a 1950s Washington quarter, don't rush to clean it or spend it. Photograph both sides, record the condition, protect the coin, and seek professional authentication if it appears unusual. This is not about pretending every old quarter is a secret fortune. It's about knowing enough to stop yourself from accidentally giving one away. Do not spend this coin until you've checked the date, the S mint mark, the surface, and the condition carefully. That little quarter could be ordinary, or it could contain a combination of details that makes collectors take a second look. And we're not finished. The next coin takes us somewhere even more surprising, where another tiny mark separates an everyday piece of pocket change from a coin collectors may fight to own. Next up, coin number 3. That brown-spotted nickel sitting quietly in your collection might be the easiest coin to underestimate. 1965 was a major transition year for US coinage, and this Jefferson nickel comes from that exact period. Before you throw it into a jar or spend it at a checkout, look closely. The missing mint mark, the date, the surface, and the smallest design details can tell a completely different story. In 1965, America was dealing with major economic changes, rising demand for circulating money, and a serious shortage of silver. The US Mint was responding to those pressures by changing the composition of several denominations. Jefferson Nickels, however, continued using their traditional copper-nickel composition. That makes this year an interesting snapshot of a nation in transition. A coin that looks ordinary today was actually produced during an important turning point in American coinage. Start on the front. The obverse shows Thomas Jefferson facing left, with "In God We Trust" running along the left side and "Liberty" followed by a small star and the date 1965 on the right. Now look beneath the date. There is no mint mark. That absence is not automatically an error. It was intentional on many US coins from this period. But collectors still examine that area carefully because tiny differences, varieties, and unusual characteristics can completely change the story of an individual coin. Flip it over and Jefferson's famous Monticello design appears. The reverse carries E pluribus unum above the building, Monticello directly across the center, 5 cents underneath, and United States of America along the bottom. The original design also includes the inscriptions Monticello, 5 cents, and the building's famous architectural detail. On a strong example, collectors pay attention to the steps, windows, lettering, rims, and Jefferson's portrait. Now feel the coin. A standard 1965 Jefferson nickel weighs about 5 grams, measures approximately 21.21 millimeters in diameter, and is around 1.95 millimeters thick. Its approximate edge circumference, or girth, is about 66.6 millimeters. The composition is 75% copper and 25% nickel, unlike the silver alloy coins that were being removed from circulation during this period. That familiar copper-nickel feel is one of the quickest ways to recognize the denomination. But your coin has brown spots, and that's where you need to slow down. Brown, dark, or uneven coloring can come from natural toning, environmental exposure, contamination, or damage. Never assume unusual color automatically means rarity. Collectors want to know what caused the surface appearance and whether the underlying metal and original finish remain intact. A coin with attractive original toning can be far more interesting than one that has been aggressively polished. And please remember this, never clean it. Don't scrub the brown spots away. Don't use chemicals, vinegar, polish, or household products. You could permanently change the surface and destroy the evidence collectors need to evaluate it. Original toning matters, and professional grading is critical if you believe your nickel has an unusual variety, error, or exceptional condition. Your first inspection should be simple. Check 1965, examine the area where a mint mark would normally appear. Then inspect Jefferson's portrait, the lettering, Monticello, the steps, and the rim. Use magnification and good lighting rather than touching the surface. Look for doubling, die characteristics, unusual strikes, or other legitimate varieties. Most people miss valuable possibilities because they see only 5 cents instead of looking for the tiny details. Now for the big money claim attached to this video. The supplied auction figure is $47,000. But that does not mean every 1965 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark is worth $47. An ordinary example is generally not worth anything close to that. Actual value depends on authentication, grade, preservation, variety, error status, provenance, and documented sales. If your coin truly appears exceptional, professional evaluation is the smart move. Still, think about the opportunity. Someone could spend this nickel without even looking at it. Another person could hold it under a lamp, inspect the date, and realize they may have something worth investigating. That's the difference between pocket change and hidden treasure. Serious collectors can become highly competitive when a genuinely scarce example appears, while owners may hold desirable pieces instead of selling them. So don't rush. Do not spend this coin just because it has brown spots or looks ordinary. Protect it, preserve its original surface, and get expert help before making a decision. Patience can be worth far more than a few minutes of cleaning. And remember, this is only coin third. The next discovery is even more dangerous to ignore because one tiny detail could turn another everyday-looking US coin into the kind of piece collectors desperately want. Next up, coin number 4. Imagine finding a tiny dime in an old jar and almost throwing it back with the rest. That could be the mistake you regret. This 1957 Roosevelt Dime with a D mint mark has the exact kind of age that makes collectors slow down, but the real question is what survived on the coin. Those black spots, the original surface, the mint mark, and the smallest details could make this little piece of history worth investigating. The year 1957 arrived during a changing America. The country was deep into the post-war era, consumer spending was expanding, and the United States was experiencing rapid technological and industrial growth. Everyday coins were moving constantly through shops, banks, parking meters, and pockets. Millions were produced, but decades of circulation, damage, melting, loss, and careless cleaning have reduced the number of attractive survivors available today. That survival story is part of the appeal. Look at the obverse first. You'll see Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left, with Liberty along the upper left side, In God We Trust across the lower left area, and the date 1957 beneath the portrait. On the lower right side is the tiny D mint mark identifying the Denver Mint. That little letter deserves attention. Don't assume every D-marked dime is rare, but never ignore it either. Collectors carefully examine the date, mint mark, lettering, rims, and Roosevelt's portrait for unusual characteristics. Turn it over and the design becomes instantly recognizable. A torch stands in the center with an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. Around them are United States of America and E pluribus unum, while one dime appears along the bottom. The torch represents liberty, the olive branch peace, and the oak branch strength. On an older dime, worn details around the torch, lettering and rims can tell you a lot about how heavily the coin circulated. Now here's the part that makes this dime especially interesting. A standard 1957 Roosevelt dime was struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. It weighs approximately 2.50 grams, measures about 17.9 millimeters in diameter, and is roughly 1.35 millimeters thick. Its approximate outer circumference, or girth, is about 56.2 millimeters. That silver composition gives a genuine example a completely different character from the copper-nickel dimes used today. But your example has black spots. Don't panic and don't start cleaning. Black or dark areas can result from natural toning, environmental exposure, contamination, or corrosion. The appearance alone does not prove rarity. What collectors want to know is whether the surface is original and what caused the color. Sometimes an untouched, aged surface tells a better story than a shiny coin that has been scrubbed. So listen carefully. Never clean this dime. No polish, chemicals, abrasive cloth, or home remedies. Cleaning can leave hairlines, remove the original surface, and permanently reduce collector appeal. Original toning matters. If the coin appears unusually well preserved or shows a genuine variety or error, professional grading is critical before you make any serious decision. Start your inspection with the 1957 date and D mint mark. Then check the rim, Roosevelt's hair and cheek, the torch, the lettering, and the fine design elements. Use magnification and strong light. Don't scrape the black spots away to see what's underneath. That could destroy exactly what a professional needs to examine. Most people miss valuable clues because they rush. Now, let's address the dramatic figure associated with this coin. The supplied auction value for this video is $251,000, but that should not be treated as the normal value of an ordinary 1957D Roosevelt dime. A standard coin does not automatically become a $250,000 treasure because it is old or has dark spots. Real market value depends on authentication, condition, rarity, genuine errors or varieties, provenance, and documented auction results. But here's why the possibility still grabs collectors. A truly exceptional Roosevelt dime can create serious competition when multiple buyers want the same piece. Collectors may hold desirable examples rather than sell them quickly, especially when supply is limited. That's where the idea of a silent fortune comes from. Something tiny, overlooked, and easily spent can become surprisingly important when the right combination of rarity and condition is present. If you find one, slow down. Photograph both sides, protect the original surface, and have it examined by a qualified professional if anything looks unusual. Do not spend this coin before you understand what you're holding. Patience costs nothing, but careless cleaning can cost you the opportunity to discover the truth. And that's the warning I want you to remember. Don't judge an old dime by its size, color, or face value. Sometimes the smallest detail is the biggest clue. But we're not finished. The next discovery is even more shocking, and one tiny feature could make collectors look twice before they let it leave their hands.